Hello everyone, and welcome to this video. My name is Ariston, and today we're going to talk about Python strings. Okay, so in your desktop, open up your favorite IDE or Integrated Development Environment. For me, that would be Visual Studio Code. And here, I'm just going to open a terminal. So to open a terminal, just click the button right here that shows you no problems. That would be having a circle and an X in the middle of it. Click it and it would open this tab. Then go ahead and open the terminal. So as you can see, it also shows us a shortcut key that we can use later on so that we can open this terminal a little bit faster. So you can use that shortcut key if you want. So here, what I'm going to do is first check if Python is installed on my local machine. Now to do that, first thing that I'm going to do is type here python -- version. And it shows here that my Python version, that would be Python 3.12.2. So if you don't have, if it doesn't return a Python version for you, it means that Python is not installed on your local machine. Now, what you can do is open up your favorite browser and go ahead and open this link, python.org/downloads. And it would show you the latest version of this Python. So currently the latest version is Python 3.12.3. So go ahead and click that and download and go back to your favorite IDE and type the python -- version here again. So you can check if Python is installed successfully on your local machine. Now what we can do is go ahead and create a folder. I created a folder named Python strings and open it up in Visual Studio Code. Now here, I'm going to create a new file. That would be Python or strings.py. So this would be our file. And what I'm going to do is first talk about Python variables. So for us to be able to talk about strings, let's talk about a little bit about Python variables. So this is how you can create a comment in Python. Just use the pound sign or the hashtag sign, then the comment that you want to add. Now comments allow us to be able to add notes to our code so that we can help other developers as well that is working in our team. So what is Python variables? So Python variables is a reusable container and it is used to store a value. So let's write that down. Variables, reusable container. There you go. So to be able to understand variables, we can use a metaphor. So imagine you have an empty box. So this empty box can store anything. So let's say you have a set of clothes and you want to put your clothes inside of that box. And then you close the box. So if you store it with other boxes, what you want to do is you want to add a label for each box. Let's say, for example, in the box that you have your clothes, you will add a label clothes, so that even if it is with other boxes that contains different stuff, let's say you have a box for toys, you have a box for your other items, therefore you can know the difference or the content of each box even if you don't open it by just using a label. So the same thing could be applied to variables. Now variables is not just for Python, it is also one of the core concepts of all the programming languages. Now what we can do to create a variable in Python, the first thing that we're going to do is add a variable name. So let's have a variable that would contain the first name of a certain user. So let's say here, first name. And then you will add here an equal sign. And then you will pass here the value of your variable. So let's say the first name would be John. So as you can see here, I encapsulated or I put John inside of the double quotation marks. So here we have a variable that having a type of string. Now what you can do here is you can also use the single quotation marks. Let's say, for example, let's create another variable, last name is equal to Doe. So we have a user named John Doe. Now we have different rules in naming our variables. So the first rule is that your variable should be descriptive and meaningful. Meaning we have here the first name. So even if we don't see the value of John, we know that this variable is used so that we can store the first name of a certain user or a certain person. And then the second rule is that we use lowercase letters. So as you can see here, all of these words are having a lowercase. So it is built by using lowercase letters. And the third rule is that if you have multiple words used for your variables, you will separate them using an underscore. So as you can see here, first underscore name. And then you should put spaces in the middle of the equal signs so that it would look more readable for other developers as well. Now what we have here is a variable that have a data type of string. Now we are going to focus more on the data type of string today, and there are other data types that we can talk about in the future. So we also have a way to be able to create a multi-line string in Python. So let's say, for example, we have a variable that would store a greeting. So a greeting can be a long greeting. So we will add here a multi-line string. Now to do that, we will use triple quotation marks, and inside of here would be the value of this variable. Let's say, for example, hello everyone, and then my name is John Doe, and welcome to One Code Camp. So there you go. We have a variable with a data type of string, and it is having a multiple set of words. So this would be a multi-line string. Now, one of the useful built-in functions in Python is what we call print. Now this one is used to print something. So let's say, for example, you want to print the value of first name. So what you can do is inside of this parentheses, you can pass the variable name. So let's say first name here. And let's go ahead and run this. So what you can do is first open up your terminal right here. And then let me just minimize that down. And what we can do is click this button here, run Python file, and it would open this tab right here. And you can close the PowerShell here. And as you can see, it prints John on our terminal. Now, what we can do is also print the last name. And if we clear this out and just run the Python file again, you will see here that it prints out John and then Doe here. So we can use the built-in function print to be able to print the value of our names here. Now, another built-in functions that is very useful is what we call the len function. Now, the len function would return to us the length of a specific string, or the length of whatever variable you pass into it. So let's say, for example, we have here the first name, and we can use here the built-in function that would be the len. So inside of this one, the len is len of first name, or the length of first name variable that we have here. Now, if you run this one, what it would do is return to you the length of this string that we have here. So it shows here that the length of this string is 4. So we have 4 characters inside of this string. Now, another one is what we call the type function. So if ever you want to know the data type of a specific variable, you can encapsulate it inside of the type function and pass here the variable that you want to check for its type. Let's say, for example, you want to check the type of the variable first name. You can do so and print the output. And let us delete the first name here and save that out. Let's clear this one and run it again. As you can see, it returns to us that this variable have the data type of string. So type is also very useful in Python. Let's clear this out, and then let's talk more about how we can access the characters inside of a string. So let's say, for example, you want to access the first character inside this first name variable that we have here. So to do that, first thing that we're going to do is access the variable. So first name, and then we're going to use square brackets. Now inside of the square brackets, you're going to pass the index. So what is the index? As you can see here, the first name variable have a value of John. Now the index would start from 0, and each of the index would have a character. So start from 0, that would be J for 0, O for 1, 2 for H, and then 3 for N. So we have here 4 characters, but the index would start from 0. So that would be 0, 1, 2, and 3. So here, if you want to get the J character, we can pass here the number 0. And then what we can do is print out the output. Let's say print, and then go here and close this out, and then let's run it again. As you can see here, it returns to us the character J. So that's how you can use the index to be able to access a specific character inside of a string. Now, we also have negative index, and it would start from the end of the string. So as you can see here, the end character is N. So if you pass here, let's say for example, -1, it would return to us the letter N, because the negative index would start from the end of a string. And if we save this and clear this out, if we run it again, it would return to us the letter N. So that's how we can use indexes to be able to access specific characters inside of a string. Now we also can slice the string. So let's say for example, this is the starting index. Then what we can do is use the colon to be able to add an end index after this one. So let's say, let's start from the first index. So that would be J is the 0th index and O is the first one. So here O to, let's say for example, we want it to end at H. So we're going to pass here the index of the letter that we don't want to display. So let's say for example, the index of J is 0, the index of O is 1, the index of H is 2, and the index of N is 3. So we don't want to display N. We want to start from O to H. So we will pass here the index of the character that we don't want to display. That would be the letter N. So the index of letter N is 3. And then what we can do is save this and clear this out for now. And let's run it again. So as you can see, we have O and H here. So that's how we can add a starting index and the end index so that we can slice the string. Now, it is also possible that maybe you want to add the third one right here. So that would be the step. So let's say, for example, we're going to use the greeting so that it would be a little bit longer. And then we would start from 0. So we would start from H, and then what we want to do is end at the O. So we want to display hello here. So what we can do is count this out. So that will be 0, 1 for the E, and then 2 for the L, 3 for the another L, and 4 for the O. So we will display here until the end of 5 so that we can display the whole word hello. So we will give here the index of 5 as the end index. And what we can do is clear this out. I misspelled that. Okay, let's run this out again. And as you can see here, we slice the word hello and it returns it to us. Now we can also add another one here, which is what we call the step. So let's add here like 2. And I'm going to explain this after we run it. So let's clear. And then let's run it. As you can see here, it only returns the characters H, L, and O. So the reason why is because when you use the third here, that is the 2, it would use that as the step. So the first one is H, and then it would not display the second one. So first one is H, it displays it on the screen, and then the second one is E. So it won't display the E, and then L would be the first one again, and the other L would not be displayed. So we only see one L here, and then it will display the first one, that will be O. So H, L, and O is displayed, and because we have here an N index, it stops the display here at the letter O. So that's how you can use the step to be able to display specific characters here that belongs to the condition that you add here. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is what we call string concatenation. Now, most of the time, what we want to do in our strings is we want to display them together. Let's say, for example, first name and last name. So maybe you want to add here a variable that would store the full name, which is a combination of the first name and last name. Let's create another variable here. That would be full name. And then what we're going to do is call the first name variable and then add it to the last name using this plus operator that we have here. And then let's clear this out so we can run it again. So we didn't print anything yet, so let's go ahead and call the print function and pass here the full name. And then let me clear this out and run it again. As you can see here, we have John Doe, but maybe we want to add a space at the end. So after this plus here, we will add here a string with a space in it. And then you will use an add again to be able to concatenate the last name variable. And let's save that out and clear out our terminal. If we run this again, we would see here John with a space and then Doe. So that is how you can do string concatenation in Python. Now we have another way, which is using a comma. So I'll show you the difference of these two ways to be able to concatenate strings. So let's say, for example, you want to print here, maybe add a string that contains your greeting. Let's say, for example, hello, and then you want to add here the first name and last name. So you will use a comma, then call the first name, and then the last name. So comma, first name, then comma, last name. And then in the end, you want to add a comma here and add a quotation marks. And inside of this one, let's say, and welcome to One Code Camp. And then what we're going to do is maybe delete this out so that we can see the output of this one more clear. Clear this out and run it again. So as you can see here, hello, I'm John Doe and welcome to One Code Camp. So the difference between using just print and full name, let's run it again so we can see the difference. So here, to be able to add a space between the John and the Doe, we added a quotation mark here with an empty or a space in the middle. So that's how we can create the space when we use string concatenation using the plus operator. And here, if you use the comma, it would automatically add a space between them. So hello, I'm, and then we have a space before the first name, and then space again before the last name, then space before the string that we have here. And this way of concatenating a string is often used whenever you have multiple variables. And for this one, whenever you want to kind of combine two variables together. So that is the two-way. And we also have another way, which is formatting a string. Now, this is the most popular way to be able to combine strings together. So let's say, for example, let's delete this one. And then we want to use formatted string. So let's say, for example, maybe formatted greeting. So we're going to create another variable named formatted greeting. And in here, we're going to pass first the letter F. So this could be a capital F or a lowercase f. So here, I'm going to say hello, I'm. Then we're going to add here curly braces, opening and closing curly braces. And in these curly braces, you can pass here any valid expression. So we can pass here this first name that we have here. So let's pass the first name and then add a space and opening and closing curly brackets again. Then we're going to pass here the last name. And then let's add a space and the welcome message. And welcome to One Code Camp. And then let's print this output. So print the formatted greeting variable that we just created. Let me clear this out and then let's run it again. So as you can see here, hello, I'm, then the first name would be John, and then last name would be Doe, and welcome to One Code Camp. So as you can see here, this syntax that we have here is kind of cleaner. That is why it is really popular, and you can also use curly braces to add any valid expression inside of this one so that you can combine your variables into the one statement that we have here. So that is how you can use formatted string. Now, let's talk about string methods. So let's close this out. And let's say, for example, let's clear this out. And we're going to use the first name variable. And then we want to be able to convert it to uppercase. So what we're going to do is use the upper method. So to do that, use the dot operator. And as you can see here, we have different methods that is available for this variable. So let's say upper. And let's print the output of this one. So print. And let's run that out. So as you can see, it returns to us the first name, but in uppercase. So if we can convert it to upper, we can also convert it to lower. So we'll just change this method here. So use the dot operator and then lower. And then let's clear this out and run it again. Well, for now, we have only the J as capital. So as you can see, all of the letters here are now in lowercase. So maybe change this to uppercase, all of it, and then let's run it again. Clear this out, then run it again, and it shows to us all of the letters here are now lowercase. So clear that out. And then we also have the title. So let's say, for example, we have here the full name. So that would be first name plus the last name. So what you can do here, maybe convert this all to lowercase. So John and then Doe. And what you can do here is use the, let's delete this out and use the full name variable that we created. And then let's call the title method. And let's go ahead and run this one. So as you can see, both of, or the value of the full name variable that we have here, all of the words are capitalized. All of the letters, the first letter of each word are capitalized. Okay, so let's clear that out and let's move on to the next one. So the next one would be strip. Now, strip allows you to be able to remove the spaces at the beginning and the end of the variable that you pass to it. So let's say, for example, we create or we edit this full name that we have here. Let's just delete this out and then edit this variable that we have here. And let's say John Doe, but we have multiple white space at the beginning and the end of this variable. So first thing, if you print this out, so print, then pass here the full name and run this. As you can see here, there are multiple white spaces at the end and at the beginning. So what we can do here is use the strip method. So dot and then strip. And if you run this out, let's just clear our terminal and run this again. As you can see, all of the white space at the beginning and at the end of this one is now gone. So we don't have any white space here. So that is the strip method. Then next one is the L strip or the left strip. So what we can do first is delete this white space at the end, and then we want to delete the white space at the beginning. So let's clear this out for now, and then let's print this one so that we can confirm it. After we run this, as you can see here, we have white spaces at the beginning. So we can use here another method, which is the .lstrip. So using this one, it would only delete the white space at the beginning here. And we also have the rstrip, which is deleting the white strip or the white space at the end. So let's edit this one and add multiple white spaces here and use the rstrip. So if you run this one, it would show you it doesn't have any white space in the middle or in the end of this variable that we have here. So that is the lstrip and rstrip. Now what we can do next is we can try another method that would replace a character with a different one. So let's say, for example, clear this out. And then we have here John Doe. Let's delete the white space. And then let's say, for example, we want to replace the letter J or maybe the letter D here with P. So let's go ahead and use the .replace method. And in this method, it would accept two arguments. So the first one would be the letter that you want to change or replace. So let's say that would be the letter D that we have here. And then the second one would be the character that you want to add here. So you want to replace the D with what character? Let's say P. And if we print this one and run it, as you can see, it would be John Poe right here. So that's how you use the replace method. Now, it is also important for us to be able to check if a character is in the string. So what we can do is use the in to check that. So let's say, for example, we have here John Doe. Let's say, for example, we want to check if a certain word exists in the string. We can pass here the word Doe, and then we can use the string or the in, and we're going to pass here the variable that we want to check, that would be the full name. So here we're checking if the word Doe is inside of the full name variable. And let's clear this out and run it again. As you can see, it returns to us true, meaning Doe is inside of this variable that we have, that is the full name variable. Let's say, for example, we change this to Poe. Save that out and let's run it again. As you can see, it shows to us false because Poe is not inside of this variable that we have here. So let's clear that out. And next maybe we want to find the index of a certain character. We can use the find method. So let's delete this out. Let's say, for example, access the full name variable. And let's say if we can find a character letter D. So we can use the find method to use this one, or to find out if the character D is inside of the value of the full name variable. So let's run this out. And as you can see, it returns to us the index of that specific character. So the index, that would be 5. So starting from 0. So 0 is J, 1 is O, 2 is H, 3 is N, and then 4 is a space, and then 5 is the letter or character D. So that is how you can use the find method to be able to check for the index of a specific character. Then the last method that we're going to talk about today, that would be the that is not a method, which is the not in. So we're going to check if a certain word is not inside of a certain variable. So let's say, for example, we have the full name. So what we can do first is check for an existence of a specific word. Let's say, for example, Jane. So if we want to check if Jane is not in the variable full name. So let's run that out. And as you can see here, it returns to us true because Jane is not in the value of the variable full name. The value is John Doe. So let's change this to John. And then clear this out and run this again. It shows here false because John is inside of this variable that we have here, the value for the full name variables. That would be John Doe. So that is all about Python strings. There are more methods that you can use, but this method that I talk about today are the most often used methods, and also how you can use string concatenations to work with strings in Python. So thank you very much for watching this entire video. And if you do like this video, please give us a thumbs up, and we hope to see you on the next video. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a good day.